starting on this sky ridge, 20.0 all the way around. Take as many pictures as you want, don't just go in any direction. Please don't put anything outside the windows, because if you drop it, we don't have a way of getting it back. Also, while you're out there, please be careful of all the ramps, rails, and ropes. They're all there for your safety. Just please don't lean over them. You can continue down the sky ridge to make tickets to get outside. They also have vegetarian options and a children's menu. They'll be
Cool. You see that, Max? See how high up we are?
I see a big cruise. Way over there in the ocean.
Located at the back end of the Princess ship here on the dock is a 12 pool with some plates on it. The snow beneath those plates is the USS Juneau Memorial that one had saved with the last of the 5 Sullivan brothers. Located down here in front of the Talcott Mill is the Half-Smith Circle. The Half-Smith Circle is the Fisherman's Memorial. It has an echoey effect to it. You stand on one side, someone stands on the other, say something, comes around that Half-Smith Circle to the other person. Located down in front of the tram building, right across from where the tram cars take off, are 4 trees in a circle shape. The stones in the middle of those trees is the Archie Van Wyck Memorial. Located on the dock, directly straight down past the 5-story concrete building. Down further on the other side, boys, on the dock is a statue of a dog named Pansy Ann. She was a volunteer. Today are good for unlimited rides till 9 p.m.
Goodness, where's the party? Why wasn't I invited?
It's like a gazillion.
Yeah, night first.
Thank you so much.
Lick his fingers first.
That's a good idea.
You want to see who's your phone?
Yeah.
But you better
yeah, exactly.
Key cards, please. How are you doing? Good. Just the card.
Okay, so do you want the boat in your background?
Yes, please. That would be so fantastic.
Key cards, everybody. You can take the express lane. Thank you very much. How are you doing, man? Good, thank you. I know, it must be a wedding party or something.
Oh, I
I'm guessing. I don't know. You can see. Yep.
Oh yes, this way. Has she tried
Oh, yeah, I got you. Looks like fun. Yeah, there you go.
Oh.
Taking pictures of them? Good grief. Hoy no es cambiarnos en 1, 2, 3. Yo voy hasta acá mi cama.
We just get out of the way a little bit. We've got a car coming through. I know, that's fine. We're not in a hurry. I just don't want to. You're fine. No reason to rush.
I'm waiting for my coat.
Oh, that's fine. You just pull right over.
Juneau comes down, and then all of a sudden, so even the smoke was the home. Oh
And this is where two different people from two different planets all paying each other. And then they didn't go through like today.
yeah.
Sounds like it's happening.
The butter slides off.
One was red, one was blue.
I already did one. All three of us in our 70s. Not so bad. Not so bad.
In the 1970s,
I've been trying to post pictures, but
You know me, I'm scared of
even though I paid
Yet to use it. So everyone, I'm pulling it together today, right? I will say that means two things, right? It means I'm either a really, really good driver or it's my first day. Also, while the coach is in motion, I just ask that you guys remain seated. Also, this is a guided tour, so I ask that you don't use your cell phone as in like making calls and taking calls. It's just respectful of the other people that are on the bus. Also, you're more than welcome to talk to your neighbors. That's totally fine. Just if you do that, please keep it at a hush tone, again, to not disturb your neighbors. We all agree to that? Yeah. I seriously took a group out and they were all like pumped about that rule. They're like, yeah, we're not gonna do it. 5 minutes in, someone sitting right behind me took a phone call and I was like, I was shook. I was like, are you serious? That's fine. I just reminded them politely over the radio and it got awkward for a second. But we smoothed it over. We're all good friends again. All right, so we are waiting for the green light and then we will roll out. know I've impressed most of you already, right? She can back up and she can go around a teardrop circle. I get the question a lot. Are you 12 years old? The answer is yes. So how exciting for you guys.
14.
When in Alaska, right?
Are you a native of Alaska?
No, I actually am not native to Alaska. I'm actually from Utah originally. Lived in California for a while and Texas. And now I'm in Alaska, and I love Alaska. I've been here for a couple seasons, and Juneau is the best city ever. It's so fun. It's kind of like the Seattle of Alaska. Juneau, for your information, is actually the capital of Alaska, so that means it's the best already, right? But they have all the state capital federal office building from Main Street, but also down at these lower streets down here. What's interesting about the federal office building is they have my favorite statue in all of Juneau over there, and it's a statue of 3 pelicans diving into water. Now the reason why I love this is because we're in Juneau, Alaska, and there's no pelicans here. So there's actually a story behind this statue. Back in the day, we put in an order to get a statue of eagles made for us. At the same time, Juneau, Florida put in an order to get a statue of pelicans made. And there was a big mix-up, and we ended up with the pelicans, and they ended up with the eagles. And I'm actually not sure what they did with theirs, but we just kept ours and put it up, and it's been here ever since. So it really fits in. Also to our left, just across the bridge there, we have our neighbors Russia, so it's great that we're so close to so much culture here in Juneau. Do you guys believe me or no? That is actually Douglas Island. If you've ever heard of a lady named Sarah Palin, or if you've ever watched Saturday Night Live, they make fun of her for saying Douglas Island. And then the rest of us live in the valley. So there's a lot of reasons why people live in the valley compared to downtown. A big one is rain. So downtown receives over 100 inches of rain every year, and the valley is only receiving about half of that. And so it's really strange because the valley is only a 15-minute drive out. But that's a reason why a lot of people live out there compared to downtown. Also, so today we have 4 ships in. This is a very average day for us in the tour industry here. But at our most busy, about 10 times larger than Juneau is when it comes to population. Now, Juneau, Alaska is the 2nd largest city in all of America when it comes to land size. And that is because we are part of the Tongass National Forest, which is 17 million miles. But you can actually read about that a little bit more at the visitor center if you guys are interested in that. My favorite fact about Alaska's population, and maybe Alaska in general, honestly, is that for every 12 men here, there is 1 woman.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's why I moved here. No, there's actually a saying about the Alaskan men. It is, if you come to Alaska to find a man, the odds are good. However, the goods are odd. Yeah, so I'm still single. Also, one of the most interesting facts about Juneau, excuse me, I'm sorry, I have this cough, and so I'm sorry if I cut in and out. But one of the most interesting facts about Juneau in particular is it is landlocked. So that means there are no roads leading in or out of Juneau. So there's actually only 3 ways to get to Juneau. The first to the Glacier locals called the Glacier. So they keep everything real simple. It's really nice. Over to our left, we have the Juneau Channel. Now it is at low tide right now. As you can see, there's a lot of beautiful, beautiful mud out there. We just hope and pray it stays low tide at all times here. But at high tide, that water level rises. Actually, on the shore, when they first purchased their property, they bought beachfront property because they loved low tide so much. And when we built this road out to the valley after Juneau was growing, they threw a fit about it, basically. So the government built them these lakes, and two things happen at these lakes every year. So the first thing to happen is in the summertime they have the Salmon Derby, or Family Fishing Day. And that's where all the kids come out and learn how to fish for the first time. And in the winter time, they completely freeze over and they become ice skating rinks. And people are out there playing hockey and ice skating all winter long. So it's very cool. As we approach the light, I'm going to point out there's two bald eagles to the right on a lamppost. If you haven't seen a bunch of bald eagles already, I should have been better at pointing them out. You're going to see a lot today, so keep your eyes open. So we have two up there. My favorite part of Juneau, though, is to see a fish underwater from a mile away. And they're some of the only animals that mate for life, and how they find their mate is they'll fly high up in the sky, and they'll come together and they'll lock talons with one another, and then they'll dive in gold. They find them in the gold flakes, not in big gold nuggets like they were finding. And so a mining camp instantly popped up here, and it became one of the most successful mining camps in all of history at that time. Now, for information, we actually still do have active mines. We now mine for silver, however, gold is still a byproduct of the mines that we have. Also, fun fact about Juneau, it's called a duck fart. Yeah, it's 3 equal parts of Kahlua, Bailey's, and whiskey. And I don't know if you noticed, when we were going around the teardrop, there was a place called the Red Dog Saloon, and that's where a lot of visitors come to get duck farts. So after your tour, you should all go get duck farts. That's what I'm trying to say. Over to our right, I want you to take a mental picture or mental note of this plant that's yellow, green, and leafy. It's called skunk cabbage, and we're gonna get back to that, all right? But I would do Juneau a huge injustice if I didn't talk about the most historic building here, which is to the left, and it's that McDonald's on the corner. So let me tell you about how serious people of Juneau take their McDonald's. So 3 days before opening day, people started camping out there like it was Black Friday or something. And then on opening day, the line to that But no, it's good to know, especially if you like outdoors and hiking, it's good to know what black bear scat looks like compared to grizzly bear scat, right? Does anyone know how to tell the difference on that? So you have to remember, it's stuff that they're eating, right? So you're gonna see a lot of signs of plants and berries and fish in a black bear scat. And then with grizzly bear scat, you'll see stuff like bear bells. It's gonna smell like bear spray. Maybe a Boy Scout hat might be there. No, there's actually a lot of interesting things happening with the bears in Alaska right now, and if you guys are interested in me talking more about it, I'll talk about it when I pick you guys up from the glacier, because we're getting close to the glacier now, and so there's a couple rules that the park rangers like me going over with you guys. So the first one is about the bears, actually. So if you have food with you guys and it's in a sealed container, they ask that you keep your food packed up and put away, because bears have very sensitive noses and they don't want to attract the bears to people, and they're trying to make sure the bears aren't eating human food, because if they become dependent on that, they'll approach people a lot more, and then they have to put those bears down. So it's actually a rule to protect the bears more than it is us. So there's absolutely no eating food in the park. So if you have it, that's fine, just don't pull it out and eat it. Second rule is there's no smoking allowed. Now if you want to smoke or need to smoke, there is a designated tent for that. Please talk to a park ranger though before you just start smoking. Now I'll actually talk about the dirt on the glacier a little bit as we're leaving the glacier. I like to give you guys the opportunity to go to the visitor center and go explore and figure out some stuff by yourself first. And then we'll go over some more information about the glacier on our way back. But please be on time, because we do have the tram to still take, and I don't want to leave anybody, but I will say that I have left people in the past, and it's the saddest thing that I've ever had to do. You guys believe me? No, it really is. I like cry all the way back. I can't even tour after I leave people. They become my new roommates and I make them do my laundry for room and board. It's about 30 minutes down, 30 minutes back. It takes you to a waterfall and it gets you closer to the glacier. It's very easy, it's very paved and nice. It's not like you're like climbing a mountain or anything. Remain seated, make sure I get close enough to the curb that I don't need to get my steps stool out. That would be great.
We stop in?
Caitlin,
What's up?
where's the abstract? Is there a reason for that?
Yeah, so I guess a fireman in California just died doing fire training, and so they lowered it for him. All right, you guys, we're close. Sorry. I didn't see if I'm right behind you. Oh, no worries.
Even the mountain. Hey, stay over there.
Okay.
Thank you.
I can go very low.
Yes, yeah, thank you.
It's gorgeous.
Beautiful. I just love it.
Is there a hot dog truck in here?
Alaska has been called the Great Land, full of rock and ice and landforms that seem unmoving and unchanging. But these sturdy mountains and solid fields of ice are anything but static. For millions of years, this place that seems so sure and steady has been in a continuous state of becoming what we see today. Over vast stretches of time, glaciers advanced and retreated. Towering trees filled the open spaces, creating the world's largest temperate rainforest, the Tongass National Forest. Southeast Alaska's frigid mountaintops and snowy ridges form the eastern boundary of the Tongass National Forest, the slender strip of land and water that stretches 500 miles along the Pacific coast. The tall peaks trap moist Pacific air, assuring the steady supply of rain and snow that sculpts this land. At high elevations, the process begins with snow, as much as 100 feet in some areas. The Juneau ice field, which blankets over 1,500 square miles of southeast Alaska and Canada, is a remnant of the ice sheets that once covered much of North America. This ice field alone feeds 38 glaciers, Southeast Alaska's rivers of ice. This place is a perfect laboratory for scientists studying glaciers. Changes in the glaciers reveal insights about the health of our planet and how it's being affected by climate change.
Right here, we're up at the top of the Mendenhall Glacier on the Juneau ice field, and there's so much snow falling each year. In the winter, we can get over 100 feet of snow. And all of that snow that falls during the winter, not all of it melts during the summer, and it gets buried by the next winter's snowfall. The snow that falls here takes about 200 years to become compacted into ice and travel the length of the glacier and then discharge into the lake. Those icebergs near Mendenhall Lake started as snowflakes up here on the top of the ice field. So this is kind of like the birthplace of the glacier.
The end of our summer season is when we sort of balance our checkbook. When we add up how much snow we've gained up here on the top of the glacier with how much ice we've lost down by Mendenhall Lake, then we'll sort of figure out, okay, did our gains up high compensate for our losses down low? And over the last 250 years, the Mendenhall Glacier has thinned and retreated drastically, and that trend is still continuing today.
We typically see about 15 to 20 feet a year of ice thinning. So in other words, where I'm standing, if I came back at the end of the summer, at the end of the melt season, I would be 15 or 20 feet lower down. All of this rock that's exposed is area that was covered by glacier ice, and if you look up on the hillside above the glacier, you'll actually see differences in the color of vegetation from the dark green forest to the more recent light green forest to down below that very little vegetation. And so you'll see those lines which essentially mark out places where the glacier ice has been in the recent past, and it's thinned away.
Retreating glaciers carve the land, revealing scour marks in their paths. Free of the glacier's weight, bare land lifts. New life forms on the exposed surfaces. Lichen and moss colonize on rock and glacial debris, giving flowering plants a place to take hold. Their roots bring nutrients to developing soil. Trees claim the land, creating the dense canopy and shady understory found in temperate rainforests. The transformation from bare rock to dense forest can occur in as little as 350 years, leaving a landscape once dominated by ice, covered with plant and animal species. About 13,000 years ago, the Earth began to warm. As the glaciers melted, they left deep valleys that filled with ocean water and icy glacial melt. Over the millennia, climate fluctuations have triggered smaller rounds of glacial movement. The last began 3,000 years ago. That period, known as the Little Ice Age, ended in the mid-1700s, right about the time the Mendenhall began its current retreat. In the past 2 centuries, this majestic glacier, which is 2,000 feet deep in some places, has retreated about 2.5 miles. As climate change warms our planet, further retreat is inevitable. Most glaciers in Alaska are retreating, and like the Mendenhall, they are doing so at an unprecedented speed. Conserving the nearly 17 million acres of the Tongass National Forest and its glaciers will depend upon how we maintain the health of our planet, including how we decide to face human contributions to climate change. The watery web of life in Southeast Alaska extends from the upper reaches of the ice fields to the most distant rivers and streams. The Stikine River Delta is just one example of the flourishing habitats created by glaciers. 16 miles of wide delta flats lie at the mouth of this 400-mile-long river, one of the many wild rivers that flows through Canada and ends in Southeast Alaska. Glacial silt forms the river delta. And as winter turns to spring, glacial melt brings the delta to life. Early early spring fish runs bring forth sea lions and the largest concentration of bald eagles in North America, just as the ice begins to break and flow. The delta's muddy flats contain a bounty of shellfish, treats appreciated after a long winter's hibernation. Thousands of migrating snow geese return to the Stikine each spring. They stop to rest and feed on the delta's tender spring grasses. This feast will fuel the last leg of their journey north to their Arctic breeding grounds. Change is one of the defining qualities of the Tongass. It's apparent in the shifting shape of the landscape and in the life cycles of the creatures that thrive here. Salmon begin their journey in the Tongass, then migrate to the ocean, where they live for up to 5 years. Once fully mature, they return to the stream where they were born to lay their eggs and die. The returning salmon provide food for the forest's wildlife and a huge infusion of nutrients that benefit the health of rivers, soil, and trees. The wonder of Southeast Alaska's majestic glacial landscape has long been of interest to humans. In the 1880s, the Pacific Coast Steamship Company began tours through the Inside Passage, establishing Southeast Alaska's glaciers as popular destinations. For decades, the Mendenhall Glacier has been Southeast Alaska's most visited glacier. Tourist photographs document the glacier's beauty and its transformation over time. 100 years ago, people came to wonder at the glacier about a mile downstream from where the visitor center now stands. Before 1930, Mendenhall Lake did not even exist. The Mendenhall Glacier remains a powerful attraction for both tourists and locals, receiving thousands of visitors each year.
Up, talk, sit, yea, do a song.
The Mendenhall Glacier was called Oktoksit, the glacier behind the little lake, by the Tlingit, the first people of Southeast Alaska. The Tlingit, Haida, and Tsimshian tribes all call the Tongass home. Many of their lives remain entwined and influenced by the forest glacial landscape.
My name's Terry Rafkar. In Tlingit, my name is Cha Skuutla. I am Dukdane Tan, which is from the Raven clan group. One of the things with the Tlingit perspective, we never had a word for art. It wasn't that we didn't have the wealth enough to have art for just art's sake. But art was part of every day. So art was that paddle that you paddle a canoe. So not only when you hold it up as you approach a village, they know who you are, but as you paddle, the animals in the ocean, the killer whales and the seals, they also are aware of who you are as you pass through their land. The wool weaving that I do, it's called Raven's Tail. The mountain goat wool is harvested from hunters. It's harvested from hikers. When they shed in the spring, we'll harvest the wool off of that. The robe that I'm working on now will have a beautiful glacier pattern across the top. It's about the Arctic Ocean and glaciers receding. It's about the DNA of mountain goats. It's today's story. If you took the word Tlingit, Tlin is tide and Get meant people. We were people of the tides. So this is the tides as they flow and they surround the breakers that are at the mouth of Lituya Bay. And the tides flow around them and then out to sea. The art reflects the place. So isn't it just perfect that as you put on your potlatch hat made out of the spruce roots from the beaches and you wrap yourself in the robes of the mountain goat, you've really embodied the very beaches and the lofty places that we call home. And I would challenge visitors to experience this place in that same way. Allow it to just become a part of who you are. Allow it to be a relationship with place that you get to share with us.
The Tongass National Forest is a landscape created by nature and woven by culture. The connection that links snowflakes to glaciers, glaciers to rivers and sea, water to wildlife, trees and air, and all of these things to us, embodies the essence of Southeast Alaska, where all life is interdependent and ever-changing, and where the past cannot be separated from the future.
Let's get back.
We get nauseated sometimes. Oh, yeah. Hey there.
Squeeze on out.
Thank you.
These are blue. I want to see
Those are the ones, John.
You don't want any other ones?
No.
This morning, and that's when you see it first.
Yes, I came from Illinois.
You know what? I don't think you could ski on that. There's too many ridges there.
Probably break a leg or two.
Hey, if you want to climb up and use that, you need to not throw it.
Look at this, you see? It's nice.
Thank you.
So even at a good day
Yeah,
when
the
we're here
quad.
on
That's
time,
right. That will
we still have that.
Good. That's quality. It'll be fun. What's the tree? Good.
He said we had 40 minutes and we have tons of time.
Just so there's a look in the face.
At 2. So there's a crazy spike that's happening, and they're just talking about respecting bears and their space and like not being obnoxious to them, because what is happening is bears are starting to see us not as people cohabitating with them, but as a source of food now. And so both of those do that sales tax rule is Juneau. Juneau does have a sales tax. And then residents of Alaska actually are paid to live here, and that all comes from an oil tax that we have here in Alaska. So that's all funded by that. Now oil, I don't know if you guys know this, but the oil market's very bad right now, and so we're kind of struggling on that, and we're having to cut back on some stuff. And so right now the wedding anniversary, and they go over to Era, and all they wanted to do was take a helicopter ride. And when they got there, they realized how expensive helicopter rides were. And so their name was Phil and Sue, and Phil and Sue were saying, you know, it's really, really expensive. It's out of our budget. I don't think we'll be able to afford it. And a pilot actually overheard them talking about this and approached them and said, because it's your 50th anniversary, I'm willing to take you guys up for $50. There's a lot of eagles on the telephone poles, a lot of birds. All those white heads out there are bald eagles with the brown bodies. Now the reason why they are all in this area is because this part of the channel is known as Salmon Creek. And so, right now, from this point to the middle of August, all the salmon are going to be running to the hatchery, which is just around the bend, and I'll point the hatchery out as we pass it. But that is why all of these eagles are in this area right now.
You can see the salmon run.
Yeah, there's a lot of salmon. It gets so crazy with the salmon running that it looks like the water's boiling at some parts. There's so many salmon in this area. And so, yeah, we have a hatchery up here. I'll point it out as we pass it. Like I said, hatcheries are very important to a salmon's life cycle, and I'll explain that a little bit more in a second. But as we come around this bend, it's going to be to our right now, having the salmon derby up here. So that's all incorporated into Family Fishing Day that we were talking about with the Twin Lakes. But the story behind the hatchery is there's a little kid that got his hands on some salmon eggs, and he ended up hatching them in a bathtub in his backyard, and ever since that day he fell in love with the salmon and marine biology. So he went and he got his degree, came back to Juneau, and asked the government for a grant to build that hatchery. Now the government ended up granting him $7.4 million to build that hatchery. And what's unique about that price is that's only $200,000 less than what the government purchased all of Alaska for. So crazy, crazy. That have left and come back, and some have gone as far as New Zealand. So they truly go out there and travel a lot. It's crazy stuff, but very interesting thing to go see that hatchery. Over to our right, we have this boat wharf. Now, this wharf is interesting because a lot of people, they will store their boats here all winter long and then take them out in the summertime. But a lot of people actually live on their boats year-round there. So you can see a couple of the houseboats there. It's interesting to pass at nighttime and see them lit up and people actually living in them. But yeah, that's a little community of its own there.
How far up does the water freeze, or how do you have to go?
So this water actually never freezes in the Juneau Channel. So and none of it will be freezed over all the way out to the ocean the whole winter long. Actually, Juneau never really gets below 0 degrees either. It will stay in like the low 20s and like upper teens all winter long, but never really gets below 0 just because of the climate here being a rainforest and being so humid. To our left, we have the federal office building. That is the tallest building in all of Juneau. Also, if you were to take a left here on this light, you would reach the Evergreen Cemetery. That cemetery, Joe Juneau and Richard Harris are both buried there. So 2 of our 3 founders are buried there. Also, when we go through this light, pay attention to the Juneau Hotel. There's a statue, and one of the whales turns to the other and says, "Ooh." And then the other whale says, "Dude, you're drunk." Okay, I got one more whale joke. So there's a little girl and her teacher, and they're talking about whales, and the little girl says, "I'm scared of whales because I don't want to be swallowed by a whale." And her teacher says, "Whales don't swallow people, they eat all these other things, but they don't eat people." And the little girl says, "Yes, they do. Jonah was swallowed by a whale." And her teacher says, "No, he wasn't. Like, whales don't eat people, blah, blah, blah." And the little girl says, "When I get to heaven, I'm going to ask Jonah if he's swallowed by a whale." And the teacher says, "Well, what if Jonah's not in heaven?" And then the little girl says, "Then you can ask him." Alright guys, we are almost back to your ship, so this is a good time to start gathering your belongings. Also, when we park, just remain seated and let me make sure I get my stuff out before you start departing off the bus. If I could have you guys take away 3 things from my tour, it would be 1, that I'm single, 2, I don't have plans this winter, and 3, I have a passport. So take that for what you want. Yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to ask me as you're getting off the bus. I'd love to point out some places if you're interested in checking out the town. The best way to see a town is on foot, so I really hope you guys go out and check out the rest of Juneau. I will tell you, Franklin Street is just behind this street, so if you head towards that mountain on any of these roads, you'll get to Franklin Street. There's a lot more shops where a lot of people go. So anyway, thank you for being such a fun group today, and enjoy the rest of your cruise and your day.
If we're going on the tram, how do we?
Oh gosh, you know what? I forgot. I'm dropping you off at the tram.
Yeah, me
so
too.
Forget everything I just said. Blah blah blah. Rewind. Thank you for reminding me. Yeah, I will actually be dropping you off at the tram. The end. So still same rules. Please just, wait for me to get the stool out, and then I'll hand you your tickets to the tram as you're getting off the bus. Wow, that was very, what if I just didn't take you guys to the tram? That would be bad. You'd all get your money back, but geez. Okay, we'll take you to the tram. It's been a blonde day, not a long day, a blonde day. My roots are growing out now though, so I get less blonde days now, but they still happen on occasions. Thank you for reminding me. I would have been in big trouble.
back and get us, okay?
There you go. Yeah, we'll all meet up at the Red Dog Saloon later for duck farts, right?
Yeah.
You're all excited to try a duck fart. I had one passenger convinced that I made that up, and like I have a deal with a bartender or somewhere to see how many people I can get to go ask for duck fart. Whoa, what am I saying? Duck fart. Yep, so yeah, did I tell you? So it's 3 parts Kahlua, Bailey's, and whiskey. That's what duck fart is.
Sounds awful.
It's a southeastern Alaskan drink. So, I mean, when in Southeast Alaska, you gotta try duck fart. It's my opinion. Okay, so this red building right here is the tramway. Your tickets are good for all day. You can ride as many times as you want. And then when you're done, your ship is just like a 5-minute walk down this dock right here. And so, yeah, enjoy the rest of Juneau this time for real. I'm not missing.
Yes,
okay.
I'll show you. It's a movie.
Okay, yeah.
And I try to put you on the right place.
Perfect.
Could you tell me why do you like more Alaska than California?
Oh, there's no traffic here in Alaska. No traffic at all, less people. I love the environment and the vibe of Juneau. It's very liberal and
you got darling.
Exciting. Thank you so much, ma'am.
You're welcome.
You have a great evening.
You do too.
But yeah, I love everybody. Everybody's so different, and people live here all around the world, kind of like California, but California is very crowded, very commercialized, where Juneau is not. I love the tour industry, and that so many people are coming in on cruise ships every day from all over the world. So I love being able to experience different cultures by just staying in one place.
Thank you very much. One more question.
Yes, sir.
What is the balance between man and woman?
So the ratio is for every 12 men, there's 1 woman, and that's why I moved to Alaska.
You are so funny and a huge sense of humor.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
It's only for intelligent people.
Yes,
They
it's
can
very
say.
witty, and some
Exactly.
people can't keep up, but...
Exactly. Okay.